Today is Tuesday, July 9th, 2024. This is day 2 of week 10 on the job. And this video is part of a larger series of this entire job that I've been filming. I try to do daily updates and then post weekly summaries. Of course, the air compressor kicks on right when I start my video, but today we made good progress on this truss, and we got those 3 boards up there. You can see them centered on this back post. Those are 3 11 and 7/8 inch LVLs, and they're about 22. I think I ordered 22 footers when we started. We ended up cutting off a few feet, so they are heavy though, and those 3 were the hard ones to get in place. The next 3 on this side should be pretty easy. We already got one. I had to modify one small thing. Now when I did that board, when I marked it out to be cut, what we did was we took our rafter template that we've been using, traced it, aligning the top edge of the LVL to the top edge of the template, because once this thing's all built, we want the top to be in line with the rest of the building. And then I just continued my lines for the bird's foot. I just continued them out because they were past the template. And then I took a piece of the LVL and I basically just marked 1 3/4 inches off of the top. Now, I'm not sure how well this is going to show up here, but what I'm trying to show is that with the other part of the roof over there, starting on that side, there's a single ridge board, and then right where this truss starts, there will be a triple LVL ridge. So each one, let me get a better angle here. Each one of those rafters has to get cut back 1 3/4 inches. Now we did that on all of these yesterday, and I made a quick little template. I don't know if you call it a template, but what I did was I just nailed 2 pieces of the LVL to a board, and I put, this is about a little more than 3 inches wide in here, so that we can, and then what we did was we just pushed that up against those double back joists, or rafters rather, and we scribed our line, and then we just cut it. So that's how we got that back cut short. And then we're accounting for that extra 1 3/4 inches on the front as well by just marking a parallel line at the top of the rafter. So the guys got here at 6:30 this morning. I got here about 7:30, and it's a hot day. It's in the 90s today, super humid. So they left about 3. They put in 8.5 hours. And tomorrow they want to start at 6, so we'll see how that goes. I don't know if I can get my ass up and out that early. I live about half an hour away from here, so we'll see. No, I'm sorry, they want to start at 6:30 tomorrow. So anyway, next course of action is to get these next 2 front rafters in. Right now we're using this one board here, just kind of propping up some of the weight in the middle of it. It's just got a single screw up there so it can pivot. And then what we're gonna do is nail a couple of boards to the bottom of those rafter ties, maybe 3 spots. We're gonna have boards sticking out past our truss, and once we get those 3 in, these 3 are already in, then we take our 9.5 inch LVL and we're gonna rest it on those boards and scribe that angle on each side, take it down, cut it, put it back up, and then those, if you want to call them rafter ties, it's the horizontal member of the truss, they go right under those LVLs. And then eventually they'll get bolted on with a bracket. We're waiting to rough everything in, and then we're gonna actually make a template for the bracket to get welded up. So tomorrow we will have this truss done, and once this is done, it's literally gonna be a piece of cake to drop this beam on top, because we're gonna have a vertical post sticking up right there with a bracket. I'm gonna show you the brackets I have. And then we're gonna have another post, another bracket up there near the ridge that's gonna be bolted to the wall. And then we're also, as an extra measure, I already talked to the management about this, we're gonna bring a board, we're gonna put 2 boards on this wall coming straight down. It's gonna get anchored to the concrete, and it's gonna be under the bracket, putting a little pressure on it, because I don't feel comfortable hanging this giant beam off of this old cinder block wall. So those boards will just give it the extra support. Now these are the brackets I've been waiting for. We ordered these about a week and a half ago. Finally came in, we brought them here today. And this is the giant, I mean, this thing's like 20 pounds, but this is what is going to hold this giant beam up on the masonry wall. And we put these bolts into the masonry, and then it gets screwed with these, the SDS 25-300, into the wood. So thing is heavy duty. And then these are the CC column caps Simpson makes, and these 3 brackets cost about $750, something like that. It was crazy expensive. These are heavy too. This is probably like 15-pound bracket. And then, so one of these is gonna go on top of the horizontal truss member. Then the 6x6 post goes right in here. We through bolt it. And then the other one is gonna be like this, perpendicular to that one, and on top of the 6x6 post. And the 20-inch LVL is gonna sit in that like a saddle. So just to be clear, I'm gonna show you how it's drawn up. It'll make a little more sense. So this is the bottom column cap. It goes on top of the horizontal truss member. This is a 6x6. This is the other column cap that saddles the 20-inch LVL beam. And so we're gonna have this standing up on one side, and we're gonna have that masonry beam hanger on the other side, and then we just pick up our 20-inch LVLs. Probably still do it one at a time just because it's so much weight. And we're just gonna plop it right on top of those 2 brackets. Then we nail it off. We're gonna probably screw it to the back rafters, and then we'll put the hangers on after we send some screws in just to hold it temporarily. And then that's when we put the rest of these rafters in. So making real progress now. This is exciting. This is aside from taking off those concrete headers, this was the other major challenge on this job, and I'm feeling real good about it now. We just got started today. I gave myself 5 days to do the truss, the beam, and the front rafters, and I think tomorrow will be day 2 of working on this, and I think we'll be starting rafters tomorrow. So we do have one little issue here I want to talk about. Now, we started with these back ones and we centered it on top of the post, and we kept them parallel to the rafters, and then right now we got a temporary spacer basically up there just to hold that gap of 3 LVL boards wide. And then when we brought it down on this side, we're not landing, if we keep it parallel to the rafter, we're not landing on the center of this brick column. So I think we're gonna be okay. We realized we can push it over about another 1.5 inches because we measured off the bottom of the rafter. If you measure off the top, the gap is bigger up there. So it is gonna come over a little more, and then when you have 3 of them next to each other, part of that triple LVL will be right on top of the post. It's just not centered on the post, unfortunately. But I measured from, you know, after we realized this was an issue, I measured from that wall to here. It was 27 feet and 8 inches to my mark. Then I measured from that wall to the center of this post, and I had about 27 feet and 8 inches. So that's 1 inch difference right there, that this building is out of square. And then I suppose our rafters could have staggered a little bit over the course of this building, and maybe that's another 1 or 2 inch difference right there. But it is pretty important to land this load on top of the posts. Now, we are building this up with bricks, and when my mason comes, he's gonna fix the top of those bricks anyway. He's gonna probably come down like 3 courses, demo those, rebuild them up, pour the concrete all the way in the middle, and we are going to have bricks going straight up, solid concrete all the way up in the inside of it. And so we will be landing on solid brick and concrete. So I don't think we have that big of an issue. But anyway, this has been a long video for the day. I didn't film anything yesterday because we didn't really do anything all that interesting. Yesterday we had to sister up the last 5 of those back rafters because we had run out of boards last time we started that. We had run out of a few brackets for our rafter hangers. I got all those that we needed, and we cut the rafters up there another 1.75 inches back, so that when the 3 LVLs go in, the middle one is in the same position as that ridge board over there. So that was yesterday. We also called it quits early yesterday because it was brutally hot and we were dying. It was humid as hell. So anyway, I did not film a video yesterday because there isn't anything really interesting to update you on. But I will be back tomorrow, and I think we're gonna have this truss done tomorrow and that beam up. So let's hope it goes well. So have a good night. Wednesday, July 10th, 2024, and we are in week 10 of the job. And today was one of our best days so far. We got this truss finished and our beam hung up, and that was one of the toughest parts of this job. So it is huge relief to be done with that. It was very sketchy putting those huge beams up with the lift, but this is it. That's the truss finished. And that beam is humongous. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this plan yesterday, putting in this 2x10 underneath to help hold up that beam hanger. Now we were only supposed to go, we were supposed to get the beam to be inside that bracket by 2/3. And we had to cut that shim is actually 7.5 inches and the bracket is 16 inches. So it was almost a half. So hopefully the engineer signs off on that. We had to do it because we got that one bolt in the top right corner as close as we could to the rafter, and that was kind of our limiting factor up there. So the post on the wall was not part of the plan, and that definitely adds a lot of structural integrity, so I don't think he's gonna have any problem with what we did. Now we used those 5/16 Tapcons, 3 inches long with the big beefy thread on that first board, and there's probably like 20 of those going into that cinder block wall. And then this second board is not really sure what happened just there. My camera just shut off, but I was saying the second board is just screwed off to the first board with a bunch of construction screws. But it's there causing or providing positive pressure under that bracket. So this is it. So we didn't finish with the hardware. We did a lot, but we still have to do all of our joist hangers on the back. And we still have to do our flat locks to tie the 3 LVLs together. I still have to drill the holes through the beam on top of that post for the that column cap. So you could see all the through bolts in the bottom and on the top of the post going through the post. We have to drill 4 more holes through that beam and get the bolts through there. But by the time we finished getting that beam up today, it's been another hot day. We got here at 6:30 this morning, and one of my guys had a doctor's appointment. He had to leave at 2 o'clock, and we cleaned up for another hour or so. So we'll get to finishing all the hardware tomorrow and start hanging rafters, or probably finish hanging rafters. But super psyched this is done. Such a relief. This was really the one part of this job I was stressing about. Now I got my mason here right now. He typically works pretty late, but he's building up the bricks on these posts. And tomorrow we're going to put a couple of jack posts up I want to make sure this beam hasn't sagged at all right there in the middle, because that's a long span. And then he can do that. We'll clamp up the post and he'll build around it, set the anchors, and that's that. I think I already talked about that in my videos. And yeah, so that looks great. This will all get painted when we're done, so it's gonna look nice and continuous. Now there's one other part. My metal fabricator asked me to make him a template of the connection right here. I'm just gonna get these angles down, and he's gonna fabricate these brackets for me. And then those brackets get these humongous bolts put through them. Right here, these bolts are huge. And once that is done, we can take these temporary supports out, holding this truss together, because those brackets are really what do the work on that part. Ooh, just looked at this. I really hope we don't have a problem fitting those, getting those holes drilled out up there. I think we'll be all right. But it's always something like that you never really think about before you get to that part. But anyway, it's been a super long day. I've been here almost 11 hours. And we're probably starting super early tomorrow again. So that's it. I'm gonna head out now, and I will be back. Thanks for watching, and have a good night. Today is Thursday, July 11th, 2024. We are in week 10 of this job, and today we got the rest of our rafters installed on the far end of the building, and we just finalized some of our other hardware that we left out yesterday because we ran out of time. We have to well, I don't know where I was going with that, but here's what we got done today. The rest of these rafters still have a few screws to pop in the bottom of those rafter hangers, and I still have to actually get up and drill a few extra holes in that beam hanger because we bumped it up so high. I have to put extra screws a little higher on that thing. I was actually thinking about putting a big through bolt right through the bottom of it. Might do that if I can fit the drill bit with that rafter in the way. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to fit it, but this thing's good. I made my templates for the truss brackets today. Maybe I'll show those off in a minute. Got my mason here working again. He's building up these brick posts that are looking real nice. Got this one done. I still gotta get that thing up there for him. So here are the templates for they're actually pretty big. These are going to be made out of 1/4" plate stock, steel plate stock. And this is the angle, 27.5 degrees on the front of the building, 32 degrees on the rear of the building. Sorry, I got this horizon leveling thing, kind of messes with my camera angle sometimes. So they're 5 inches wide, and the thing about the angle and the center lines, the way they meet up, is based on our dimensions here. If we kept this 2 inches from this top hole, then he would have to notch this plate to go around the corner here. But what he could just do is make it 2 inches longer and come out like this. You know, more material isn't gonna hurt anything. But if he does that, he's gotta make sure he measures those holes off of this edge, because then this bolt is in line with these 3, and it's the center line of that other plate. So there's gonna be 2 plates that are welded together on this angle, and the holes drilled as specified on the plan. So these are actually gonna be, you know, oriented like this. There's 2, he needs to make 2 of each one. And the difference here, I'll put the other one on top. You can see the difference. So when we started with this building, these 2 angles were the same, and since we raised up the front of the building 2 feet, we made that angle shallower by about 4.5 degrees. So that's how those things came out. Hopefully you can get that for me soon. I just stopped by the building department today, and I had a couple questions for them. They said that we have to apply wood before we do our framing inspection, and we can do the roof in the meantime before we schedule that inspection. But they want all of these hardware issues done before they come. So this needs to be installed before we do our inspection. I kind of figured that was the case, but I did confirm that today. I forgot to ask them if they need us to take the temporary wall down. I'm like getting really excited to see this place without all this extra lumber in the middle. I want to see what it's going to look like when it's done. So I got a price from my electrician to raise up all these wires to the ceiling. I'm actually going to talk to him about potentially just putting it up in the attic. This big conduit can just sit up there like it was before. So I think I forgot, I don't think I've mentioned this in any of my videos yet, but there may be a major change order for this job, and the whole point of having a vaulted ceiling in here was to help them with a lift. And funny thing is, the lift company was here last week, and I ran into the guy who's specking out the garage, looking at where the footings are. Actually, they don't need footings, they can just sit on the slab, but he was looking at where the posts would land. And I'm talking to him, and these are it's a 2-post lift. So the top of it has a horizontal bar going across, and the top of this lift would fit under that ceiling height that we're creating over there. So really they didn't even need to do all this extra work. I didn't know this at the time. I mean, I would have told them not to bother, obviously, but I didn't know what lift they were getting. And you know, it's still pretty cool to have this, and they have the potential to put an even bigger lift, I suppose. But so the big change order though is we might be eliminating these two garage doors and putting one in its place in the middle. Same width of the opening. Only difference is if they do put a lift, I told them, I mean, why not put it right here? This is where the ceiling's vaulted, but they can't put it in front of this door on the end because it's too close to the wall. And they can't put it directly in front of this door because they have their drainage. This is like an oil drain. It's nasty. It goes, I think it gets pumped out to some oil separator or something like that. But so we might be putting 2 new posts and footings right there and getting rid of this one and just having one door in the middle, and the lift would be centered on that one door. Even though they don't need the extra ceiling height, it's like, why wouldn't you put the lift in the tallest spot? So anyway, we're working on that. My mason is working up his price. So between the electrical and the masonry, those are some significant change orders. So when this happens on a job, you know, we're still not pressed for time. We're in a good place with our schedule. And if they're going to be adding changes like this, they are going to understand that it's going to cause delays. But they're fine with that. We're fine with it. It's more work for us. You know, we really don't make too much money on stuff like that. But so anyway, that's where we're at with that. So we can't take all those the conduit supports out till we figure out what's happening with this electrical. And if he puts the electrical on the ceiling, I'd want to put the drywall first, so we're not having to bump up to these odd conduit shapes with drywall. So that's why I'm thinking I'd rather have them put it in the attic space if it's not too hard, like messing with all these pipes. So anyway, a lot's happening right now, and kind of really closing in on the final touches here. But we are doing plywood tomorrow, and that's gonna really change this, our environment in here. It's gonna be weird without having the sunlight right above us. But anyway, I think that's it for tonight. I will be back tomorrow, and thanks for watching.